I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about men.
Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain.
But man, I am scared to death.
What are they?
They were once men.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Unfortunately, in the modern era, there's very little that we share, and I think that's by design. They want us to hate each other. They want the left, right, black and white, everybody to hate each other and the other person, and for all of us to fight. Because when all of us taxpayers and citizens are fighting each other, then we don't actually focus on the real problem, which are the elites who can anoint Kamala Harris as the Democrat Party nominee without a single person voting for her. The elites who could just take Joe Biden, the sitting president, and throw him into a trash compactor against his wishes. Joe Biden said time and time again, I'm not dropping out of the race. Oh, yeah, you are. It's not how it works. It's amazing. And that kind of power really destroys the country that, of course, is for the people, right? As the Constitution says. So there's very little that we share. And that is by design. The culture war is by design. There used to be things that the entire country agreed upon. And one of those things, growing up, me, product of a public school system, right, was that Martin Luther King Jr. was a American hero, and that he's somebody who we should be inspired by. We should look at his words. And that's something that Democrats, Republicans, if you were to straight up ask them today, they'd all say the same thing. They'd all say, yep, totally, guy deserves a monument, got a couple statues of him. You know, we should project out the views, the vision casting of Martin Luther King Jr. That's a good thing for the country. This guy, Martin Luther King Jr., is a civil rights activist. He gave a speech at the Lincoln Memorial. And a lot of people there. Apparently, there was 250,000 people there. That's what they say. I don't really know. And he gave this speech that has a little plaque on it. If you go to Washington, D.C., the I Have a Dream marker. The speech is so famous. You go to the Lincoln Memorial, and they actually carved into the Lincoln Memorial where Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech. What did that speech say? The speech says something that Democrats do not agree with at all in our current modern era. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, I have a dream that my little children will grow up in a nation where they will be judged by not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. It's meritocracy. That's actually the opposite of DEI, right? It's the opposite. I have a dream that one day the nation will rise up and live out its true meaning of his creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Let freedom ring, he says. Okay. I agree. And the wild part about the change in what we're living through, which is radical, intersectional, diversity, equity Marxism, right? Racial Marxism, is that this is anathema. This is actually the opposite of what the modern Democrat Party believes. And then you can see that in their actions. You can see that in what they do. You can see that in little cringy things like the white dudes for Kamala Harris phone call. So with the announcement of Kamala Harris as the candidate for the DEI, nobody voted for her, of course, but the announcement of her as the candidate for the Democrat Party, all these little Zoom calls for fundraisers started popping up all over the place, but they were segregated by race. So first it was black women, white men, Latinos, and they're centrally organized, but they're putting people in these little racial buckets where, these are, it's insane. It's the opposite. Now, who the hell cares? And people have been doing this for a long time. But it is sort of the end result of what they wish to do. Resegregate the country. If you started a white dudes for Donald Trump group, then you'd have a bad day in the media. But for Kamala Harris, it's totally allowed based on the intersectional hierarchy, right? They have been doing this for a long time. It's where DEI, that's where the term DEI hiring comes from. So it's where the destruction of meritocracy comes from, but still it's incredibly cringy. White dudes for Kamala is not designed to get white dudes to vote for Kamala, a bunch of Hollywood influencer types ripping on masculinity and whiteness in order to convince single white women to vote. Well, this is interesting. So the Zoom call, people tuned in to the Zoom call, and yeah, gotta tell you, it was quite a bit of a cringe fest. This is the actual, this is the post on X calling all white dudes for Harris. We up next. RSVP. Come with your whole crew. White dudes for Harris. Make a hat that says white dudes for Trump and see how it goes for you. This will show you like where racism is actually allowed and where it's not. But I'm not trying to be a curmudgeon here. I just like, I think it's just worth calling out for the historic record, because we're going to be right on these things. The racial Marxists will not. They won't be right. Like it won't last. Either the whole country will be blown up, or like things will go back to normal and people will say, yeah, like it's regressive to judge you by your skin color. Meet the white dudes for Harris. What stands out to you? Look at it. They're like actually testosterone. Every single one of these guys would have a rash breakout if there was a drop of testosterone in their bloodstream. They'd be sent to intensive care. They'd be sent to critical care. So you have your classic like C-list Hollywood actors who were allowed, C and D list. Actually, they're not really Hollywood actors because none of these guys have work. This is what I find particularly fascinating, is that none of these guys like actually had any work. So they have these washed up losers from bygone eras of Hollywood celebrity status. None of them are actually celebrities. Most of them are doing this Zoom call like from like garages with like dirty, broken, greasy cell phones, and I'll prove it. These are the guys running white dudes for Harris. Yep. Totally. This tracks. This tracks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, all right. Let's get into it. How did this meeting go? Well, first off, the dude with a man bun, decided to start off by saying that he hates all men, and that all men are terrible. Again, this is for single white women who also hate men, so good job.
And that happens at the same time as the myths around America that we grew up with, that we as men are expected to be protectors and providers, are going out into an economy that doesn't really allow for that, especially for working class folks. And sort of like compounding on that, masculinity as a trope has been co-opted by the MAGA right into something that feeds into and exacerbates the loneliness epidemic, as well as the mental health crisis that many face that end up leading to really destructive behaviors. We aren't the only ones that are hurt by these things. Black and brown people, LGBTQIA plus people, especially trans women and indigenous people.
Got to stop there. Do you see how like everyone's it's really anti-Christian, quite frankly. And this is my worldview on it. My worldview doesn't come from the textbook. It comes from my creator. And if you have a problem with that, then whatever. It's like that's where my view comes from. So like here's what the Bible says is that all men are created equal. What the Bible says is that God created everything and that we're created in the image of God. What these people are saying is that all the races are different, actually. And you need to be put into different pots based on what your skin color is. So it's just bold strategy, Cotton.
And all sorts of other folks in our society who've been historically and often still today are marginalized and being hurt, demonized, and marginalized even further. So,
oh, it's so cringy. I hate to have to play you some of these clips. Let's just rip through them. Luke Skywalker going to the dark side.
Get rid of the Department of Education completely. They're going to try and remake what we know as democracy into an autocracy. It's no surprise that he idolizes Viktor Orban and the the dictators of the world. That's what he yearns to be. Again, he said it out loud that he wants to be a dictator from day one. So never has it been more important for us to stand up to his mental illness and vote for Kamala in 2024.
There's literally a guy who's so mentally handicapped that he couldn't even speak on stage when debating Donald Trump. He was forced out in total and complete humiliation. Donald Trump defeated Joe Biden, and now he's going to have to run again and defeat somebody else. Mark Hamill there saying that Donald Trump has the mental illness and can't afford Wi-Fi, Mark? Can't afford a Wi-Fi signal? None of these people can. It's amazing. Like Jeff Bridges, who I like, but like it's so sad to watch some of your favorite Hollywood actors just descend and have such greasy, strange environments.
I can't hear myself, but that's okay.
We can hear you.
Oh yeah, okay, great. Okay, good. So great to be here, Ross. I gotta laugh because I accepted the invitation. You know, I was brought to the party not so much as being white, and I certainly am, but because I'm a dude, you know. So a friend sent me this email today with your hat on there, and I said, "Oh, I gotta have one of those. I qualify, man."
Good job, everyone. Yeah, if you're wondering if this guy was on a White Dudes for Harris call.
Kamala, what are we going to say to Donald Trump in November?
Bye, bye, bye.
What is right.
No.
And this is a pivotal moment for our
no.
country. And supporting her means pushing for a future that is fair and inclusive. And let's not forget the Supreme Court. I would not have my marriage right now if it wasn't for the Supreme Court we had. If that was up to them today, there's no way I'd be able to be married to the man I love, or probably not have the kids that I have.
We're gonna just leave that one for the comment section. The comment section you should never check is Eric Swalwell's comment section. Eric Swalwell decided he was gonna, he worked all day on a one-liner, and from the guy whose party just staged a coup against an old man who can't take the stairs and clearly has some type of horrible disease, Eric Swalwell decided to attack Donald Trump's age.
Talk about Trump's age. Don't say 78-year-old. Let's say almost 80, because he is. And this guy, for the last 2 years, has wanted to make this race entirely about age. You know what, pal? You got it. We aren't running against Donald Trump. We are running against Old Trump.
Dude, did you are you a writer on The Acolyte? Well done. Way to go. White Dudes for Kamala Harris. It's a perfect image here. Ah, yes. Okay, there you go. There's a bunch of guys bending over and licking or kissing the feet of sobbing women. Yeah, this is exactly what it was. Exactly what it was. Exactly what it was. One of these guys, who looks like a thumb, decides to say that he wept when Hillary Clinton lost. Check this out.
I'm not sure if you guys can recall that feeling you had on the night of Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I stood over my kid's bed and I wept.
So yeah, expect more of this. Cringe, but thankfully it'll all be over, hopefully, please, in 90 days. If you're looking for a supercut of embarrassing and humiliating moments, then don't worry.
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Over the last few years, you know, I've been thinking a lot about men.
I'm not sure if you guys can recall that feeling you had on the night of Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I stood over my kid's bed and I wept.
White nationalists in MAGA, they want to speak for you specifically as white men.
In the marginalized communities that educate me every single day, that this is a constant education. for all of us.
Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain, of agony, of hope, of frustration. And no matter how high she jumps, no matter how many degrees she has, no matter how good her grades are, she's never good enough because they're always moving the line.
What a variety of whiteness we have here, with like a rainbow of beige.
But man, I am scared to death of what the future could look like if we go back to another Trump administration, one that truly left working construction white men behind.
You've seen it with congressional leaders who have called Vice President Harris a DEI candidate.
Of course, men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care.
Let's be clear about who Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are. Donald Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and a congenital liar. He's a fraud. And J.D. Vance is his mini-me. I even created my own cognitive test that describes the two of them: sofa, dolphin, shark, cats, convict.
Real men respect women, their decisions, their careers, and it's pretty clear that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't.
A woman president, man, how exciting.
If there is a God, she's a terrible writer.
One day, we all will be asked what we did to stop this MAGA movement. What will your answer be?